Yeah, talking about privilege, and then there's something coming up. I would call it's almost spiritual nihilism. Um, Moment by moment, this universe is arising within my awareness, and so do intentions and volitions to do something, the will for certain action, and it arises out of that consciousness, and is from that point of view, everything is the will of God, everything that is happening, and everything is karma yoga. I could never avoid not to do anything that is not according to that eternal law. And so I wonder if there's anybody there who's doing choices, and are there any choices to be done? Are we not always living up to the perfection?
I'm glad you're raising the simple questions.
I thought maybe I wait until the end.
Free will versus determinism, which has been occupying people for about 2,000 years.
Forever.
I'm sure we could handle it in a couple of minutes here. But I think keeping it simple, the reality is in our experience it seems like we have choice. And those choices have very important consequences for us and all those we touch. So it makes sense to make our choices as carefully and as consciously as we possibly can, and as compassionately as we can. And our capacity for making conscious, careful, compassionate choices is a function of the amount of spiritual practice we do, which gets us one more time back to the challenge of continuity. So, which gets us into the central theme here of awakening service karma yoga. So what we've done so far is we've looked at the background here. We've looked at the necessity of practice. We've looked at the importance of making that as continuous and intense as we can. We've looked at the ways we can motivate ourselves to do that through recognizing the costs that go with unconscious living, recognizing the benefits that come from living with more awareness, recognizing, bringing to awareness the brevity of life, spiritual urgency, and basically motivating ourselves as fully as we can. So now let's come down to the actual basics of karma yoga, the actual essence of how we do this. Well, let's look at some definitions first. First off, what is karma yoga? Well, karma yoga, or awakening service, is the yoga of work and action and service in the world. It's the yoga whereby our daily activities are transformed into contemplative practice. That is, karma yoga is the spiritual practice by which we take what we are already doing in our daily lives and transform those activities into spiritual practice. So the beauty of karma yoga is we can take our lives as they are, our relationships, our work, our daily activities, and perhaps not change what we're actually doing all that much, but dramatically change how we're doing it and the context within which we're doing it. Now, classically, if you go to the classic sources, like, for example, the Bhagavad Gita, you find that karma yoga is described as having two main components. The first is dedicating whatever you do to a higher goal. That is, usually, traditionally, it was offering it to God, to Brahman, to the universe. That is, taking whatever you do It's your job, your relationship, your child, looking after your child, and doing it not just for that, but also as an offering to God. Not my will, but thine. Not just for this, but in order to awaken to you. And doing that then as fully as you can, while, and here's the kicker, the second component, while simultaneously relinquishing attachment to the outcome. And it's those two things, dedicating the activity to the highest good, while simultaneously relinquishing attachment to how it turns out, which provide a really remarkable cutting edge for turning each activity into a powerful, transformative practice. Here's how the Bhagavad Gita describes it. Do your duty always, but without attachment. That is how one reaches the ultimate truth, by working without anxiety about results. In fact, many have reached enlightenment simply because they did their duty in this spirit. That's the essence of karma yoga. Now that's great, but for most of us it would really help to have a few more guidelines. Okay? For those of you who can do it from that, fine. See you around. Personally, I need more help. By the way, I certainly recommend the Bhagavad Gita. It is the classic text. It was the integral vision of its time. It was the text which brought together the different yogas and showed how they could be fitted together and provided a synthetic vision, the first really comprehensive synthetic vision given to humankind. And whoever wrote it, we don't know who he was the Ken Wilber of his time. Maybe a little less neurotic, but other than that, okay. Yeah. So, those are the two key components, but let's now flesh them out. Let's look at what is required. And what I want to suggest is that it is really valuable to break karma yoga down into 9 steps. First, as listed here, first stopping what you're doing, coming into the present moment, setting your intention or dedicating the activity, then doing the activity as impeccably as you can. 5th, bringing as much awareness as you possibly can to your experience and monitoring all the reactions that come up. 6th, working with those reactions, consciously working with them. 7th, attempting to release attachment to how things turn out, how things are going. 8th, taking time to reflect and learn on the whole process. And 9th, offering the benefits, dedicating the benefits. Okay, let's take those one at a time.